Howdy, folks. I'm That Literary Lady, and welcome to another edition of On the Air with That Literary Lady. Today's guest is none other than Lorraine Eliza. She's an award-winning author, an editor, and a literary artist. Lorraine, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, how do you pronounce your last name?
Elzia. Nobody says it right, so don't worry about it, but it's Elzia. I'm used to it now.
Now, I don't know if Lorraine remembers, but Lorraine and I, we've been out of touch for a while, but we kind of go way back to the Yahoo days. Do you remember?
I vaguely do remember. I remember we connected and we hit it off for a little while, and like you said, we kind of lost touch, but I'm very impressed with all you've done since that time. I see you all over the place. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Look, I want to be like you. I'm impressed with what you do, too, because you're working on your third novel, correct?
Yes, my novel, yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the third novel, and then we'll go backwards to the first one and the second one.
Okay, my third novel will be out in 2013. We've got a little bit of a slowdown with it because I do so much other stuff that I had to take a little break from writing it. But my third novel will be called Tell the Truth, Shame the Devil. And with this one, it should be out in 2013, early 2013. And with this one, I'm going a little bit off the beaten path. One of the things I like to do with writing, I don't like to be stuck in one genre. I don't like anybody to pigeonhole me and think that they know what the next story is going to be about. So each of my stories are quite different. This one I'm going a little bit deeper than the surface as I had done in the previous novels. And the story, it's kind of like Sleepless in Seattle, and the story is about a guy that's on trial. Well, he's on death row, and what he's on death row for is murdering his wife. But the story goes along the way that his son has called into a radio show a talk show. And he's talking to the woman, and he's trying to get her to help using her celebrity status to get his dad off of death row. So the story counts down to the last 30 days while this man is on death row. And it talks about the legalities of, putting somebody to death. It also talks about, did he do it? Did he actually commit the crime? And then there's a love story brewing between the gentleman that's on death row and the talk show radio host as well. So it's like it's got a complicated things in it. And in my real life, I work in the legal system, so I did want to dig a little bit deeper and add that to my next story. Okay.
It sounds very interesting and intriguing.
Yeah, just a little different. I write in all genres from religious to erotica, but most of my stories have a erotic base, and so that's the part where the love story will come in. But I wanted to do a little bit deeper, and that's why I'm adding the legal element into it.
Okay, awesome. Now tell us about the first two books.
Okay, my very first book was called Mistress Memoirs, and Mistress Memoirs is a story of a woman that finds herself in love with a married man. And unlike the normal stories of that type, it's not about where they did it, how often, and all of that. It's about the mindset of a woman, and she's a professional woman, and it's about what type of woman allows herself to be in that situation. It has poetry in it, but it's mostly spoken from the mistress herself, and it goes through her feelings and their relationship and how she allowed herself to be in that position. That book came out in 2009, and I won the African American Literary Award show for Breakout Author of the Year with that book. And it was really intriguing to write. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. And what about the second book?
And my second book is called Ask Nicely and I Might, and it's kind of a suspense thriller, and the whole story revolves around two women. One's a black female serial killer, and the other one is the black female cop that is chasing her or pursuing her. And in my head is Jada Pinkett Smith. She plays the detective, and Vivica Fox is the serial killer. So it has their same fast to it, and it's a sexy suspense. How I like to say it is, I say, welcome to the sexy side of murder. And just like with my first book, I like to write from first person, so it's in the minds of both of those women. So it's not like I'm telling you what happened. You're actually getting to hear both of their thoughts as they go through that process of one chasing the other.
Okay, and you've written in about 7 or 8 anthologies, correct?
Yes, I'm in 8 anthologies, and I have another one coming out with Peace in the Storm. Well, my latest one was The Heat of the Night, which is with Peace in the Storm, and there's 6 female authors and 6 erotic stories from different points of view, and we were in that. As a matter of fact, we won the AALAS for that. Well, not for erotic stories, but our publisher won for publishing that. We're doing a continuation of that, which will come out next year. And in this one, which was I thought was a quite interesting twist, it's the same 6 female writers, but we've been teamed up with male writers as well. So each of the stories will have that little erotic twist coming from both the female and the male perspective, and we're calling it Pillow Talk. So I'm really excited about that one. And that will be my 9th anthology that I'm in.
You hear that, folks? Pillow Talk.
It's just, let me tell you that.
It sounds like it.
And, it's actually been quite interesting to do that, because it's one thing when you write something alone, but to try and bring 2 minds together and then have those minds be opposing, a male and a female, it's been quite a challenging thing to do, but I've enjoyed it.
So let me ask you, are you guys writing, so are a male and a female author teamed up to write one story?
Yes. So there'll be 6 stories. There'll be 6 stories, but each story has a male and a female writer writing together.
Oh, yeah, I definitely will be reading that one. Okay. Well, congratulations on those new releases coming out, and I can't wait. Now, when is that one coming out?
That's coming out around Valentine's Day, 2013.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah. We like to add that little sexy element to it, you know.
Okay, I like it. Now, tell me and tell our audience, what is a literary artist?
Well, I don't know really what the dictionary definition of it would be, but the reason I add that title to myself is when I think of a literary artist, I'm not just an author, okay? I have books out, but I don't consider myself just an author. I think because I dabble in all things that are literary. I write articles. I'm in a couple of online magazines, and I write for some local magazines here. I do blogs. I edit. I write poetry, and I ghostwrite. So I think for me, when I say literary artist, I mean someone that's really creative in the literary field, but I don't just wear one hat inside that literary field. It's like anything that has to do with literary, I'm all on it, you know, and I really enjoy it, and I enjoy trying to be creative in which way I bring any of my words in whatever genre it's in or whatever project I'm working on. And that's what I mean by a literary artist. I'm not just a writer. I'm not just an author. I'm a ghostwriter, you know, editor, blogs, everything. So that's what I use by the definition. That's what I mean.
Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. So thank you for clarifying that for us, because I was going to say, so do you do book covers or do you do illustrations? But I'm glad you clarified that for us. You are very busy.
Well, I try sometimes.
Speaking of being busy, you also do editing, right?
Yes, I've been editing for quite a long time, about 10 or 11 years. I started out writing with another individual, and we had our own little company, and I've broken out to do it myself. And I don't advertise. I mean, other than if you're on my website and you see one little paragraph blurb about it, all of my business is word of mouth, and yet I get new clients every week, and I like that. I like the fact that, you know, obviously I'm doing a decent job because people pass the name on, but I like editing almost as much as I like writing, because there's several different kinds of editing, and there's content, you know, where you just do the periods and the punctuation and the grammar, and then there's developmental editing, and that's what I like to do, because it's like I'll take your story and like I tell my clients, I add flavor to it, you know. So you get your story out, you get your words out, and then I'm going to come and bring the seasoning on the back of it and make it to be the best that it can be, and I really, really enjoy that, and like I said, I like editing almost as much as I like writing. The problem comes in is I kind of take on more than I can chew at times, and so that kind of makes my own book suffer a little bit because I have the time-wise. Like I mentioned before with Tell the Truth, Shame the Devil, I've had to keep putting it back on the back burner because I've been doing the editing, but both of them brings me joy, and I like to use the gift that God gave me, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, that is so true. You start doing your business side and working for everybody else. That your
right.
things do tend to take a back seat.
Right.
Now, do you find yourself when you're writing? Do you find yourself putting on your editor hat when you should actually be putting on the writer's cap?
Well, long before I was doing editing fully for myself, when I was trying to write my very first book, my publisher had to keep telling me, Lorraine, can you let it go? It's good enough. It's good enough. I was like, no, it's not good enough. We need to add this or we need to add that. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I will say that the problem with being an editor is if I write a book, then I'm always thinking, well, I'm an editor. I don't need nobody to look at it after me. But, when you're writing your own words and your thoughts are going so fast, you miss things. That's with anybody. You can be the best editor in the world, and you're going to miss something. So that's where it becomes a problem because I'll sit there and think, oh, it's perfect. And then I'm like, maybe I don't need an editor. But, no, even an editor needs an editor, So, and in that respect, it becomes a problem. And I will say with the first book, one of the things that was quite interesting is I wrote the first couple of chapters and I sent it to a friend and she sent it back just marked up with red stuff and it just floored me. I was like, how dare you send that? But I learned so much from the things that she told me that it made my book better. So, I mean, in giving a shout-out to all editors out there and not just trying to say that for myself, you always should have someone else look at your work because even the best people in the world are going to make mistakes and somebody else can see that where you may not be able to see it.
And I'm glad you said that because a lot of people, a lot of writers will come to editors and thinking they have the best story, and they probably do, but you hire that editor for a reason. And sometimes they may get offended when they do get that manuscript back with the red markups or, in my case, the Microsoft Word changes and so on. But they have to understand you hired that editor for a reason, and you should, kind of trust that person knows what they're doing and, and think, oh, yes, you have a good story, but maybe your skills as far as, catching the development and the just doing spell checking Microsoft Word does not work. And I think a lot of times new authors, when they realize that, then I think they'll be better off.
And I'm glad you said that because every time that I take on a new client, during our consultation when we're talking and I'm telling them what I'm going to do and what I expect from them, and I do have a contract, and it's laid out in my contract what I'm going to do, what you're going to do, what the payments are going to be, the timeline, everything is done like that. But the main thing I tell them during the consult, I said, don't tell me the day that you want to hire me because first of all, you need to go pray about that because I think that a relationship between an editor and a writer, it's a relationship. It's not just business, or at least for this editor, it isn't. It's a relationship. The next thing I tell them is get ready to put on your big girl panties because I am not going to sugarcoat anything. When it's messed up, I'm going to tell you it's messed up. If it's good, I'm going to tell you it's good, and I don't use the nice little kind words. And I said, because you're paying me, just what you said. I tell them, you're paying me for a service. And so if I'm supposed to do that service, I'm supposed to do it to the best of my ability, and your feelings are going to have to get out the way. And so I usually tell people that right up front because it's much better for your editor to say to you, this isn't done well, let's fix it, than for you to put the book out and then the reviewers and the readers tell you that it's not done well.
Right. And to those authors out there who were in business and maybe did editing 20 years ago, don't hire an editor and then when you get your manuscript back, tell them, oh, that's wrong. When I was an editor, we did it like this. This industry has changed so much, and it changed on a daily basis. Yes. So do some research because 20 years ago is not going to cut it.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And I also think that when choosing an editor, you need to find someone who's going to stay in your voice. Now, when I write my own books, I'm very poetic in the way that I write. I don't do it on purpose, but even when I read it the next day, I'm like, oh, that was pretty good right there. But that's my voice. Now, if I were to edit your book and you may be writing a different way, I need to try and stay in your voice. So when you're hiring an editor and they're showing you things, you need to try to stay in your voice, but do it in the right way. You know, the literary, grammatical, and all of that stuff, you need to stay in there, but you need to make sure that your voice isn't lost in the way that the editor gives you the final product.
Exactly. I totally agree. Lorraine, tell me how you think social media plays an important role in the career of a writer.
Well, I will say this, when my very first book came out, and I think this is what a lot of writers think. They think, okay, I done wrote this book, and it's going to be out there, and as soon as it's out there, it's just going to sell, and I'm going to be on the top of the charts. And they don't realize that writing a book, that's just like the first step. Then you've got promotion, and you've got marketing, and you've got all of that thing. And your book is people are only going to know about your book if you're out there and you're promoting it and you're letting them know that it exists and what's it about. And social media plays a big part of that, because people read books because they want to be entertained, they want to learn something, they're looking for a message. That is one of the reasons that people buy books. But another thing is when someone buys a book, they're buying into you, and they're buying into what type of personality you have, what type of person you are. So social media is very big on that. Like, I'm on Facebook, and I kind of like let people, and I have over 4,000 friends. Now, do I know each of them intimately and closely? No. But the reason that I'm on there and the reason that I say and do things that I do is that I want them to see me as a person, as a whole. There's a male author out there, and I'm not going to say his name, but he's got TV and radio and all of these things, and I used to follow him as a writer really big, and I really enjoyed his work. And then I met him one time in person, and I was so turned off and never picked up another book of his after that. And it was because I didn't like him as a person. And so I wasn't going to put my money behind anything he had to say. So the reason I think social media is important is because I think that way your readers know what they're buying into. They see your personality. They see if you're genuine. Are you just writing these books to make some money, or are you really trying to use the craft and teach and send a message or entertain? You know, so they get to see it that way. But it's very important, because if they don't know who you are, they're not going to pick up your book.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said that too, because and I'm on Facebook, and you'll see a lot of authors who are, and I call it stark, or however you want to say it, who all you see is promotion for their books, and
correct.
They have book pages, and when they don't, the biggest mistake that you can make on social media, especially when you're trying to sell a product or service, is not engaging your readers or your fans, because these are the people that are going out buying your book. So if they feel like they can't approach you online, they're not going to go out and buy your books. And I do see the mistakes made by a lot of authors who people will ask questions and they won't even respond. Or if they ask a question, they're very curt with them. And you just really can't do that in this day and age, especially in this day and age of publishing. You know, self-publishing has become more and more prevalent, and a lot of the traditional houses are actually shutting down. And the big bonuses you used to get before are not happening, so you need all the help you can get to sell those books. So, and no one's saying you have to go out and tell all your business, but be interactive with the readers.
And I'm glad you said that, because I see some authors on Facebook, and they'll put a link up, and it'll say, go get my book at Amazon, or get this at blah, 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 and that's all they'll say. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're not showing me that you're even entertaining. Can you think of a more creative way to do it? Can you think of a way to make me laugh, or show me a little bit of sample of the person that wrote the book that'll make me more intrigued to go and buy the book? But just to say, go get this, or here's this link, it's like, who you telling what to do? Can you make it a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more, of yourself into it? So, yeah, I totally agree.
And some aren't even cordial. I get people that email me all the time because they know that I'm the owner of Literary Wonders. here's my book, go out and buy it and review it for me. First of all, I'm not paying for any review book. If you want me to review your book, I will definitely review your book, but you're going to have to either send me the book or the electronic copy. But to even approach someone that you want to do something for you and say, go do this, not, and I'm a person where I believe that professionalism should still stand. So perhaps, hi, my name is such and so, I know you're my fan. It doesn't have to be that extensive, but I would really appreciate it if you would take a look at my book, and if you're interested in reviewing the book, I'll send you a review copy. Or, if you're a book club with your, something, be cordial, say hi, how you doing, go jump off a bridge or something, you know what I mean?
Right, right, I totally agree.
But now let's talk about, actually let me start over. Peace in the Storm Publishing and many of its authors, including yourself, just came back from the African American Literary Awards. How was that experience?
Actually, I really enjoy the African American Literary Awards. I have went to the last 3. I've won 2 awards from them, both for my first 2 books. I won Breakout Author of the Year, and then I won for Mystery of the Year last year. And then this year, our publisher took home for self-published for the anthology, The Heat of the Night. Now, the event itself, it's such a wonderful feeling to be around other writers and just to feel the hunger that new authors have. I will say that I was on a blog, I was on a tour about a year or so ago, and I was with some big-name authors, and it kind of hurt my heart to see they had kind of lost that hunger that you have when you first start writing books and stuff, and they had lots and lots of books out, and I was hoping that I'll never get to that place. One of the things I like about the African American Literary Awards show is that there's so many new people, and then they just enjoy getting an award, or they just enjoy being around other authors, and just the camaraderie of being together makes it such a wonderful experience. And just to be able to rub elbows, with Walter Mosley and Isaiah Washington and that sort of thing, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
I saw some photos, and I'm like, these girls are hot. You guys put on your Sundays, well, not your Sundays best, your I won't even say club best because that's a little, outlandish. But you guys had on these nice gowns and your shoes, your hair was all done, and your makeup. I thought you were going to the Academy Awards.
Well, we think of it like that, and it's our publisher. Our publishing company was up for 6 awards, and like I said,
wow.
we've been to this for like 4 years in a row, and each time we go, we are so humbled and honored to be there. It's like the first time, and we just enjoy it so much. So yeah, we was tweeting and we was texting all beforehand. Girl, what you wearing? Okay, let's bring it like this. But I say all that to say, in Peace in the Storm Publishing, we're like a family anyway, and everything that we do, we kind of want to have that unity, togetherness,
right.
In how we do everything. That's why I love my publishing company. I know there's so many others out there, and people can promise you this, and I will always be with my publishing company because it's family. I mean, I trust them, I love them, and we went through some things together that it's like a family, so it's a wonderful experience to us. And sometimes going to that award show or others is the only time we actually get to be together physically, so we really enjoy each other's company when we have that opportunity.
And I have to say, I do admire the closeness because it's very you can tell by your online presence that you guys are close. And I will say this, and like you said, not all publishing companies do certain things. I can tell you, Lisa Gabrielle for Peace in the Storm Publishing, she will work for her authors. She's always traveling. She's always promoting. And so she puts it in for her authors. So I give her kudos for that.
And I give it to her, too, and I always tell her, that God brought us together because what she when she started this publishing company and what her goals were, a lot of small businesses have failed, and and that was a possibility of what could happen. But she's the utmost professional, and we lovingly call her Ike because she's Ike Turner. She's on us, and we the Ike shaking our tail feathers and our little skirts and stuff, and go right along with her. And so, but I like the fact that I trust the person that I'm putting my words through because, you know, Erykah Badu says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. And that's me. And, you know, for Elisa, she strokes the ego when it needs to be stroked, and then she tells me when I need to work harder, and it's a wonderful experience, and I think I'm in good hands with Peace in the Storm.
I think so, too. But she shouldn't have told me that her nickname was Ike because I might have let her down.
Lovely.
Lorraine, tell us, a lot of people have different writing habits. Me, I have an office, and I can sit in the office for so long and write, but I have to change my venue. I have to either – it's just funny because I can write at the beach, I have to be in the bed, or I have to be out on the deck, or it's just I just can't stay in one place and write. And then for some reason, which is probably why I look like the black version of Honey Boo Boo, is because I have to I snack when I eat. It's emotional for me because my writing is very emotional. And then a lot of times I listen to music. What are some of your writing habits?
Okay, I don't have writing habits at all. The one thing I will say is that I am too nosy to just sit. You know, some people say, well, I just put on this music and then I need it quiet. And I don't need that. I'm too nosy. I need to be right in the middle where everything is going on. I need TV on, radio on, my kids fighting in the other room, my husband saying stuff. I need all of that to go on because if I sit and tune everything out, I'm going to feel like I'm missing something, and I kind of put up a block.
That is
So for me, the way I like to write is I have a home office. The doors are always open. I have on, usually I'm watching Law and Order. It's on. And I have a glass of Moscato. And then Lorraine kind of goes to sleep. And then Diva, that's my alter personality, she comes out. I think with all of that going on, feeling like I'm still in touch with everything around me allows me to let my mind go and write. I will say this, you know, I write really late at night most of the time. Elisa calls me Mitty. She calls me Mitty because she gets all these emails after midnight when I done wrote a whole bunch of stuff and sent it to her. But mostly I write late at night, and then the next day is when I like edit it and tone it down because whatever I wrote that night was, you know, that's an active mind, so I may need to, I have to edit it the next morning. But that's my only routine is that I write at night. But other than that, I don't need quiet. I have sticky notes all over my office. I can be at my regular day job. I can be sitting here working in the middle of the day, and I'll think of something erotic or a line that I want to put into a story later, and I'll jot that down on a sticky note, and then when I get home, I'll incorporate it into a story somewhere. So that's the only routine that I have, is that I'm writing like all day, 24 hours a day, you know, other than when I'm asleep, and even then I'll wake up and see something that I jotted down on a piece of paper next to the bed.
So you're telling me you do all this and you work a day job?
I have a very stressful day job. I work in the civil courts, and so I have a very demanding job, which I love. And then when I go home, I edit and I write all night. And my marriage suffers. My marriage probably suffers a little bit because my husband don't get as much attention as writing does from me.
That's usually how it works. They understand. Thank God they understand. Well, I'm not going to keep you on the line at work too much longer. So can you tell our audience, Lorraine, how they can reach you online?
Okay, I have my own website. You can reach me at LorraineElzia.com, and I'll spell it since my name is just horrible. I mean, I love the way it looks. It's nice in person, but nobody spells it right. So that's www.LorraineElz, like in zebra, IA.com. And you can also reach me at peaceinthestorm, publishing.com. But I'm also on Facebook, and it's my name, Lorraine Elzia. And I also take email. I like what people have read any of my books. I always like to hear back from my readers, and I tell them they can email me directly, whether it's good or bad. I like to talk to people. So you can reach me at LorraineZone@gmail.com.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Lorraine Elzia.
Then good. You got it right.
Okay. Thanks for being on the show, Lorraine. I wish you much success, and I can't wait till those books come out so I can go out and buy a copy. And, folks, go out and support these authors because without you, they can't make it, and they write because of you. We have a passion to write, but we also write so that we can share it with you. And with that being said, join us next week when our guest will be author and business owner Sandra Wright. She is the owner of 40 Plus and Fabulous, and she also wrote a book called 40 Plus and Fabulous. With that being said, have a great weekend. Be good to each other and be good to yourself. Thank you. Have a good day.